Well, howdy, everybody. It is me again. Yes, it is. I noticed that it has probably been about a year and a half since my last video. As I have said in the past on previously similar circumstances, mea culpa. Uh, let me let me see if I can try to give a rough recap of the past year and a half, which is the point and purpose of this video. In fact, um, let me start off by saying when I made several of those previous videos, I was working in a career field that I no longer operate under at the moment. You might recall I was an IT tech, as it were. I had operated under several roles in the IT industry, and due to an economic downturn around the year 2020, as we all are very familiar with, I decided to leave the IT industry. It was a combination of circumstances involving not only the economy but also where I was geographically located. There were very few IT related positions, opportunities available at that particular time because of the downturn, the economic downturn. Yes, there were a lot of people working remotely. I understand. There were probably a lot of IT opportunities to work remotely. I understand. I did not feel comfortable at that particular point exploring those further. So I decided to kind of explore some options and came across the opportunity of being a pilot escort. I did that for a couple of years, and at the beginning of 2022, the presidential election had actually ended up also affecting the way that the transportation industry handled particulars. And long story short, it did end up affecting a lot of pilot escorts like myself. In fact, a majority perhaps of the pilot escorts in the United States operated under their own company name. They were not necessarily employees. So, as a result, there were a lot of pilot escorts taking advantage of the opportunity to hang up their hat. Finally, say, I've been tossing the idea around of retiring. I've been doing this for a long time. This now just gives me an ample excuse to do it. And a lot of people did. They started leaving the industry. At the same time, the pilot escort or the transportation industry, especially when it comes to transporting oversized loads, started requiring new certifications in order to be part of the transportation of certain pieces of equipment, primarily wind energy based equipment. The the windmill parts that you see, the giant windmills you see out there, the parts that I help to transport, the blades, the towers, the nacelles, all that kind of stuff. They're manufactured by two or three different companies out there, and all of them decided to join together and say anybody who wants to transport our equipment must pay for this certification every year. And it was what, $300 to take the test, and presuming you passed, which from what I understood was not too terribly difficult. It wasn't like trying to pass the bar by any stretch. But still, if you did pass, you is in essence had to take that again every year, $300 or more, depending on if they decided to increase the cost of the certification test. So that also encouraged a lot of people to go, no, I'm not doing this. Yes, it was only for their equipment. They manufactured the equipment, therefore, they can legally say who gets to transport their equipment. Um, And so, although not every piece of equipment is wind energy based, there's a good amount of it. So the people who ended up staying in the industry, all went ahead and, well, I shouldn't say all, but most, if not all, went ahead and decided to go in on the whole bit and get certified. On a moral standpoint, I thought it was bull butter. I'll be straightforward with you. It was not at all really conducive to the actual transportation of these goods. From what I was able to understand, the the particulars that you were taught in a class and then tested on in the test were all common sense anyway. And as such, it really just stunk to high heaven as an opportunity for these companies, these manufacturer companies, to make more money due to the fact that transportation costs were rising. We all know about how gas prices rose after the last election. I'm not going to go into why it's because of this, because of that, because of whatever. I don't care. It's not the point. The point is, fuel prices especially went up, along with insurance, upkeep, repairs, all kinds of things to equipment. All rose considerably in cost. So, as a result, there was less money being made available to transport these goods. It's not like the profit level went up as, excuse me, it's not like they had more money budgeted in order to afford the price increases for being able to get these pieces of equipment transported. Let's just say Siemens, for example, they make a lot of windmill equipment. They were paying, I don't know how much. Let's just ballpark and say 50 grand to get a windmill transported from one area of the country to another. That budget didn't go up. It stayed the same. But everybody transporting the stuff, they were seeing higher costs. So they were charging more. Suddenly, that budget didn't quite work the way that it needed to. So either they needed to transport less or they needed to increase their budget. They decided to transport less, which also put a pinch on their profit margin. So to help compensate for that, the theory is that they decided to go ahead and start charging the folks that were part of that's not just pilot escorts. That's the drivers of the 18 wheelers. That's other people doing other things that were, whatever, doesn't matter. Either way, a whole lot of people suddenly had to start forking out $300 a year for the privilege of taking these pieces of equipment. Not me, said the flea. Well, my boss, for the company I was working for, they felt the financial pinch as well. And I went ahead and said, hey, look, I am retired military. I already get a stipend. This paycheck is not make or break for me. So if you need to let people stay to the side and focus your work on a smaller number of individuals, I will step aside and let them, who are probably going to be more in a stronger need of a paycheck than I am, let them earn the money. And if things increase in the future, you can reconsider me. I thought that was a good thing to do, and so I did it. In the process, yes, I did enjoy retired life a little bit, and decided I did not want to stay that way. I wanted to be able to have a little more in my pocket to spend on some nice things. I had enough to pay the bills. I had enough to survive. It wasn't a terribly comfortable existence, but I could survive. So I figured maybe it's time to get a little bit extra so I don't have to live off of peanut butter and ramen. As a result, I went back into the IT industry. I thought, you know what, if now that things have kind of changed, especially last year in 2022, things had kind of evened off, I guess you could say, as far as the financial situations of organizations. And I realized that I also had been experiencing some health issues that could affect what kind of job or what kind of career I pursued. I thought, you know what? Let's just see what the IT industry has to hold, especially since I no longer live in Stillwater. I now live in Tulsa. At the time, I lived in Stillwater. Very limited on IT opportunities. Tulsa is not so limited. So I decided to pursue it and found an excellent, excellent company to work for. And I I do greatly not only enjoy my job as it were, but I enjoy working for this company. This is probably, I dare say, maybe the best company I have ever worked for. They genuinely give a dang about their employees, and they're doing everything they can to make sure that they're taken care of. Work life balance, the whole bit. They don't just preach it, they actually practice it. Actually, they don't even preach it, they just practice it, which is, probably one of the best things I've seen about them. Anyway, not the point. So, I'm doing that right now. Now, my schedule is not your traditional 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. In fact, it is 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. Wednesday through Sunday. So, I get Monday and Tuesdays off. It has its ups and its downs, I will not deny. But 'tis the way it is, at least in the meantime. So, that's how that's going. On another aspect of my personal life, well, then when I last made a recording, I was dating a young lady named JC. I'm I'm here to say that we are no longer dating, and she absolutely hates it when I describe the fact that we got married that way. Yes, we are now married. We had been excuse me. We got married on our fourth anniversary, or pretty darn close to it. We wanted to get married on the fourth anniversary of our first date, which was in the beginning of August. Unfortunately, due to Oklahoma law, you have to wait 6 months after a divorce. Her divorce did not quite allow for us to get married in early August, so we got married in the middle of August. But we're still, in essence, just keeping the date of our first, the anniversary of our first date, I should say, as what will be our wedding anniversary, just because. So we've now been together 4.5 years, and things could not be better. Let me see what else. Ah, yes, something else that I have purposefully not mentioned in any real degree, that I'm now able to freely discuss, and it's been almost 7 years now. This coming spring will be 7 years. So I'll just describe it as 7 years ago. 7 years ago, I divorced my ex-wife. As part of that divorce process, she attempted to file a protection order against me. This is all public information. You can all look it up. So I'm not saying anything that anybody wouldn't be able to find out anyway. In this protection order, unfortunately, I was not able to afford an attorney, and I had to defend myself. Unfortunately, I did a very poor job of it. So, as such, she succeeded with the protection order. My ex-wife is genuinely afraid of certain things. I won't go into the actual fears and such out of respect for her privacy. The fear is genuine. The cause, however, is not. What I have been accused of has absolutely no bearing. However, she did she did well. I'll just say she used a very I'm trying to think of the term, efficient strategy. That's the best way to put it. A very effective strategy in order to win. And even though the tools with which she used was not intended for use in such a circumstance, she decided to use those tools off label, as it were. And I don't want to say she pulled a fast one. Yeah. So, either way, the protection order did not, it restricted not only even seeing, but restricted pretty much me being able to discuss anything about it. And the hardest part of all of it, was that it prohibited me from being able to even discuss my children, my daughter and my son, who I miss beyond words. I have not seen them since then, in fact. So, having to hold my tongue for 7 years now, and not being able to openly, publicly, even acknowledge their existence has been very, very, very difficult, to say the least. But I am very happy to say that despite repeated attempts at extending that particular protection order, what I could only imagine to be indefinitely, it has now been completed. It is done. It's no longer there. I have absolutely no desire to do anything differently than I was before, except now to not only acknowledge my children, but with any luck, make myself available should they decide to reach out to me. My daughter, she is grown. She's now a full-grown adult. My son is pretty darn close to it in age. Unfortunately, since I have not been able to talk to them or hear from them in the past 7 years, I don't know about their actual maturity level, so I can only imagine my daughter is, certainly. My son, I'm going to presume that he's either pretty dang close to it, if not actually already there in a full adulthood. And I don't even know where they are at this particular point. I would love to be able to um, have a conversation with them, even if it's just one sided. As part of the divorce agreement, my children were allowed any opportunity upon their choosing to reach out to me. And unfortunately, I never did hear from them. I'm going to choose to presume that my children knew about this, that they had been told that this opportunity existed. I'm going to choose to believe that. And now that I'm now able to bring all of this out in the open, I'm also going to go ahead and extend out this message to my kids saying, "Hey, if you even just want me to sit there and stay silent while you tell me how the cow ate the cabbage. Tell me how you feel, how all these things that you've wanted to say for the past 7 years you've never been able to, and now you can. You are. This is a fully open and welcome invitation. Let me know. You can. There is an open digital Dropbox. There has been since the divorce 7 years ago. You are more than welcome to go on there, to leave a message for me. You name the time, you name the date, you name the method. Be it digital, be it in person, whatever you choose. I will absolutely accommodate You just let me know. Aside from that, I can also um, mention that one of the things I have withheld from doing but would love to be able to do is to travel. Now, admittedly, I did do a little bit of traveling here just recently, in fact. Especially when I was out on the road. When I mean travel, travel for leisure, not for work. Now, don't get me wrong, traveling for work was great. It was fun. It was a very enjoyable experience. I would, however, like to travel for leisure. During, let's see, a little over a year ago, it was on December 30th, so New Year's Eve of 2021, I drove down to the LA area to drop off an oversized load. I have not been to the LA area in ballpark 20 years. No, less. Well, okay, we'll just say 20 years because I don't remember when I went down there. I went last time I went down there was for my mom's funeral, and I don't remember when that was. I'm sorry to say. Matter of fact, some of the stuff is like right down over here, and I could look at it, but either way. So, um, I now all my family lives in LA, so I reached out to my dad, who I've had a strained relationship with, and we were able to meet up again. A lot of healing was done, thankfully. I am very, very glad for that. We had breakfast together. We caught up as best as we could for a morning. And then at that point, I hit the road heading back to Oklahoma. However, that journey included a stop along the way in Vegas. Now, I didn't have to, but I chose to. And I chose to because one of my old buddies from high school was actually spending a few days there with his son. His son has grown up. So I decided to stop in Vegas. Now I had not been in Vegas before then since I was 12. So that I forgot how many years that was. Either way, when I went when I was 12, I was far too young to gamble. So no, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Excuse me, I misspoke. The last time I went down there was when my father got remarried. And that was in 1996 or 7. It would have to be 1997. It was right around the time. Okay, it was right around the time my daughter was. Anyway, so it's 96 or 97. Either way, it's been a long time. Las Vegas had changed dramatically since then. So I decided to go down there, spent the evening with him. We caught up because we hadn't seen each other in person since I graduated high school. No, I guess there was once or twice I saw him more recent since then. He drove from LA on across the country, and he stopped in where we lived in Oklahoma. Forgot about that. Either way, it's been a long time. It'd been decades since I'd seen him. And we caught up again as well. Spent the evening out there, just kind of enjoying each other's company. Stop enjoying an adult beverage or two, and I learned something about myself. I'm not young anymore. It's one of those situations where one drink was too many, but two drinks was not enough. And one drink was really realistically plenty. I'm a lightweight, and and I definitely felt it. Now, I will say, fortunately, there was not a hangover the next morning, because the next morning I had to hit the road and continue on back to Oklahoma. There's a fly around here. It's bugging me. Anyway, so I I was not tip top by any means, and it was mostly my gut giving me heck, going, "Oh, you decided you wanted to consume alcohol. That's funny. Now you have to stop and use the bathroom every 5 minutes." That was not fun. Not to mention the fact that on the way on through, I ended up getting into an ice storm in the latter half of the day. And I wanted to push on through because that was now when I left Vegas. It was now New Year's Eve, and I wanted to get back to Oklahoma before midnight, and be able to spend the New Year's with my at the time girlfriend, now wife. I did make it, even though I traveled through ice, not snow, not rain, ice. I had to pull over once or twice because the front grill of the pickup truck was just covered in a sheet of ice, and I had to kind of get my not my hammer but my screwdriver and bang the ice off of the front grill just so that the engine didn't overheat. That was interesting. An engine overheating in an ice storm. Either way, got to Oklahoma safe and was able to enjoy the new year with her. I traveled to Vegas at that point. Then last August, I went again with the same buddy. This time we went at the same time, intentionally. And it was I guess it was July when we did that. It was our way of kind of giving me an opportunity for a bachelor party, as it were. I abstained from alcohol a whole lot better than I did that last time, and we enjoyed ourselves tremendously. One of the things I wanted to do while I was out there was to go to the Coca-Cola store, whatever, and sample the different sodas that they have throughout the country, because they have Beverly there. And if any of you know anything about me, and I've been wanting to try Beverly for years now, ever since I first heard about it. Unfortunately, we never could get there when they were open, or at least when that area of the sampling was open. And no, they did not sell any of it to take home. So at least any of those exotic flavors. So I never got to try Beverly. Did get to go to the Pinball Hall of Fame. Oh my goodness. Pinball and I have been like this ever since I was a little kid. And I was in heaven going to the Pinball Hall of Fame. Oh, I could live in that building. That's a video in itself. Let me tell you that. But either way, point is, I wasn't trying to tell you about my adventures of traveling. The point is, I would love to travel again. I would love to be able to do that. Even doing what I did, I hesitated because I feel like I'm not doing right by my kids. I had promised them when they were little that I was going to try to take them back to where I grew up in Los Angeles, take them to Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, a bunch of the touristy things in LA, show them where I grew up, all kinds of things. Never could, never did. And now I'm going to go back on my own now that I don't have them around. That just doesn't feel right. At least not to me. It doesn't feel right. I did take my wife on our honeymoon to Carmel over by Monterey in Northern California, or Central California. Or either way, we went down there for a week for our anniversary. For our honeymoon. At one point, I even drove to Solvang with her, and I got to show her Solvang. Solvang's a whole different area since the last time I went. Last time I went was about the last time. Well, when I was either a preteen or younger, and I was bored to tears. So going as an adult and seeing how there's a lot of variety now when it comes to the different shops they have. Back when I was a kid, it was either pastry shops, cuckoo clocks, or I can't remember what it's called, but the dishware that's white porcelain with blue painting on it. And every so often you come by a candle shop. But it was mainly those three: pastries, cuckoo clocks, and the whatever those dishes are. I wasn't interested in that, and but my mother and my grandmother were, who I was with, and we'd stop at every stinking shop and see the same things over and over and over and over. But like I said, a lot has changed since then. There's a lot more variety, and I'm an adult, so I was able to enjoy myself a whole lot better. Uh, and sorry, sidetrack there. I want to be able to take my kids with me, or at least give them the opportunity to come with me, should I decide to travel somewhere. I'd love to go back to LA. I'd love to go to Florida. I'd love to go to Louisiana. I'd love to go all kinds of places, and give my kids the opportunity to go as well. If they don't want to come, hey, that's fine. That's fine. That's I understand, but at least have the opportunity should you want to. So that's it's because I have not been able to give them the opportunity. I I've held off travel for the most part. I have traveled very little for leisure, but I have. I mean, so I kind of and each time I went, I did still feel bad. Like I should have given them the chance to come with me. But now there's a greater chance of that. And that part of that comes from the fact that because all I can discuss all this openly, part of the reason I couldn't discuss it was because it would be seen as an attempt on my part to reach out and violate this protection order via fiat through somebody else or through a video through as opposed to knocking on their door this or making a phone call. I'm trying to do it some other sneaky way, which I wasn't. I I didn't. I had no interest in breaking the law. I had no interest in, especially reaching out to my ex-wife. As far as she has her own life now. I understand. But my children, I wanted them to have every opportunity to reach to me, especially after what I can only imagine they seem to believe now, after only hearing one side for the past 7 years. And now I have that. And because I have that opportunity, one of the first things I did, I was able to take advantage of. I did. I reached out to someone who, at least the best opportunity that I could think of for someone who might know how my kids are doing. And that was through one of my previous sisters-in-law. Out of respect for her privacy, I will not mention her name. But she and I were able to catch up on. She was very frank and honest about what has happened over the past 7 years. And although I was not able to find out anywhere near as much as I wanted to, I was able to find out a lot. And I was very grateful for it. So, and in fact, I was also able to find out that the fear I had of there being a lot of ill feeling towards me because of all the fallout, that fear was not necessarily as founded as I originally believed. She and I are actually going to try to catch up again in person this time, coming up here at the end of next month. There's a Renaissance fair over in the Oklahoma City area that we're going to try to catch up at. So that ought to be fun. That ought to be fun. I mentioned the new job. Now, that's right. One of the reasons I did that as well was in order to help save money because my wife's eldest son is now engaged. Very happy to say he has found himself a wonderful young lady, and they are planning on getting married here later on this year. So, as the family, I'm not going to call myself a parent of the groom. Let's face it, he was a grown man before I ever came in the picture. So, as the husband of the groom's mom, I am absolutely happy to have the opportunity to contribute as might be needed or wanted. And that requires saving up money. So that's that. There's that announcement to the world, and it's part of why I decided to pursue something to leave the retired lifestyle, as it were, which I fully plan on going back to at some point in my life. Um, oh yeah, and there's something else I want to do with that, with some disposable income. I'd like to decorate. I see a lot of things online that seem like I would absolutely love to have them, hang them up on a wall, a picture, maybe a picture box, something, props from a movie I like or whatever. Every time I think I see something, I go, yeah, I'd like it, but for how long? And do I really want to? Is that going to fit with a theme I'm going to want? And am I going to want that theme for that long? There's several themes I like. I like Back to the Future stuff. I like, I mentioned before, I like playing craps. So, I went to Vegas. I got some poker chips or gaming chips from several different casinos. I could put them in a display box. I like Art Deco style things. I like all kinds of things. I don't know that I'd be able to combine them all, but I could theme a room around them. I don't know that I'm going to want to keep that theme for a while. I may get bored of it because I'm fickle that way. It's one of the reasons I don't have tattoos. Great, yeah, I love this tattoo. Next month, I wish I had something different. I can't change it now. So, I as such, I would like to be able to get some things, but I just don't know what to get. So I'm trying to figure that out. One of the things I did definitely want to get, somebody out there had designed a full-blown replica, both inside and out, of Gray's Sports Almanac, including the 50 years worth of sports statistics and information. I thought that same proper cover from Back to the Future and or Part 2 and everything. It also came with a replica receipt and bag, just like from the movie when Marty McFly went to the future to 2015. It was hilarious because it was a replica. It wasn't actually screen used by any stretch, but I thought that was nifty as all get out. Yeah. So unfortunately, when they were pre-selling it, they pre-sold out. They're not taking any more pre-sales of it. So you snooze, you lose, right? Now, I did mention I did have some new health concerns, you might say, many of which will affect how I choose my career path at this particular point. So I now have to adjust a lot of things in my life, the way I eat, the way I sleep, the way I exist, you could say, the way I make choices in life anymore, not just dietary based, but all kinds of ways. I have to now be very careful with how I live, not just survive, not just not dying, but how I live. I have to be very careful with that. It comes to include not being exposed to high levels of heat for too long, which really makes it difficult in Oklahoma summers. Have to spend a lot of time indoors. Doesn't make being able to go to outdoor events very conducive, I'm afraid to say. Theme parks, concerts, things like that. Yeah. But oh well. There are other things I can do, and I'm going to try to do. Let's see here. Oh, and one of the things I tried to do after I started with this this new job, is try to see if I still had it. Now, I knew I had the knowledge, the know-how in the IT world on how to handle problems and so forth, but I wanted to make sure I could actually roll up my sleeves and do it. I can talk about it. I can remote into Windows on another workstation and control their mouse. Great, but what about the actual hardware of it? Building a computer. I haven't built a PC in decades. At least 15 years. So I said, heck it. I have money. and I built one. Boy, have things changed. Boy, have they changed. But as much as things have changed, they've also stayed the same. So, nonetheless, I built it. I would show it to you, but right now it is sitting underneath this table right now. It is not meant for looks. What is it with every PC case now, all being all designed around being a gaming PC, and therefore it has to have all these fanciful rainbow lights, and it's got to have the clear cover. And I don't care. I'm not. I'm not. It's under a desk. I'm not gonna look at the stinking thing. I don't. Anyway, that's all they had available with all this stuff designed to be a gaming rig. Yes, I could have bought a pre-built and used it for office environments, but I wanted to build it. So I have that now. And actually, that is what I'm running this recording off of. I wanted to see whether or not having a brand spanking new rig with everything brand spanking new in there, see if that would help with making this video. Well, I've discovered, and maybe you have too watching this, I need to get a better camera. This camera, it works, but for these videos, it looks kind of fuzzy. In fact, because of that, I strongly considered making this video using my phone and going off to like the park here, not too far from here, and just setting it up and making the recording that way. I chose not to. I chose not to because, well, mostly because my stomach don't feel good right now. So I figured it'd be best to try to do it here, where if I need to have some sort of accommodation to be made available in a quick like hurry, it could happen. In a park, probably not so much. So anyway, but so I got that built. I was very happy to have that done. And in order to help, in order to foster some fun in my life, where it's not all about work and sleep and whatnot. Now that I have this built, I decided I'm going to try to see if I can make some more videos. I'm going to try to do this more often. I don't know that I'll have this background. I might. I don't know. It's not the greatest, not just in appearance, but in functionality, because it is right by the chair. It is leaning. Every so often, it'll come up in front of the chair. And if right behind me, I don't know if you can see, that's the throwing rig I had. I made for throwing dice. I may go back to doing some of that. I may, making videos on that now that I have what I have. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. One of the things I thought of, I first became inspired to make these videos based on another YouTuber named Justin Scard. Hence the name on YouTube here about fake Justin Scard being me. I love the way he's able to inspire creativity in me. And I used that creativity, sort of, in making these videos. I need to do better. I need to be more willing. I need to be more comfortable with going out. The weather is going to start changing here pretty soon. It's going to start getting warm. This is going to be the last opportunities I really have to go do it outdoors. So I should do that. Now, if I'm going to do that, I don't want to use my phone. My phone is limited in several different facets. I want to use a camera or something that's more conducive and has better quality. Well, better quality than what you're looking at right now. I want to get a better camera for that. I want a better camera for travel. Maybe I can use the same camera for both. I don't know. It's one of those situations where I got to save up money for that upcoming wedding. I kind of want to do that. Yeah. Adulting is not always easy. Anyway, that is, I guess, going to be pretty much the wrap up the opportunity now to wrap up the whole update, as it were. That's the short version. Even though this has been over 40 stinking minutes, if you've lasted this long, I tip my hat. Well, I would tip my hat to you, but I ain't got no hat. I tip my hat to you. This was the pillow I used when I went on my honeymoon. That airplane ride was, yeah. Anyway, I will say that if you have watched this much, I do appreciate it greatly. I thank you for tolerating it. Thank you for caring enough to actually watch and listen. I don't know. One of the video types I might start making are reaction videos to Justin Scard's videos. I realized recently I'm 4 years behind. This guy's been making videos for over 10 years, and I'm 4 years behind. And every time I watch a new video, little questions pop up in my mind. Hey, did I just see what I thought I just saw? Hey, how come this is this and that is that? And if I comment in YouTube, these things are 4 years old. No one's going to respond back, now. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right. I guess that's about it. I shall bid everyone adieu with that. If you do have any questions, feel free, make a comment so I can ignore it for 4 years too. No, I'm just kidding. If you do have any questions for some strange reason, I will do my very best to give you an answer. I will try to be as plain spoken as possible. I will try to be as frank as possible. I will not just bear open everything. Come on, I do want to keep some level of privacy, but I can only imagine that everything I just threw out there is going to potentially inspire a question or 10 from some of you. Like, can you elaborate on that? Hey, maybe I can. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I don't know. You got to ask first for me to decide. But I do understand the desire for a question to be answered, and I will therefore do my diligence in attempting to answer them in a manner that is not uncomfortable. Alrighty, everybody. As I always try to tell you, watch out you don't get killed.